The sun hung low over the Lagos skyline, casting long, amber fingers across the glass facade of the Lekki Heights. Inside his minimalist office, Obinna adjusted the silver chain resting against his black crew-neck t-shirt. He looked every bit the poster boy for Nigerian excellence, a tech prodigy with a Rolex that caught the light and a smile that suggested he knew a secret the rest of the world was still trying to solve. At 28, he was the pride of the Nwachukwu family, the golden son who had bridged the gap between their humble beginnings in Owerri and the dizzying heights of the Lagos elite. He was the man who paid for his sister's wedding, bought his mother a duplex, and kept the family name spotless. Or so they thought. Obinna's phone buzzed on the mahogany desk. It was a message from an unsaved number. "The clock is ticking, Obi. You can't hide the scent of decay with expensive cologne forever." He didn't flinch. His expressive dark brown eyes remained calm, though his thumb traced the edge of his watch nervously. He was a master of the rounded fade and the straight face. In a city like Lagos, where everyone was hustling to be someone, Obinna had successfully become everyone's hero. He was the benefactor, the genius, and the loyal son. But as he looked out at the Atlantic Ocean, he felt the familiar, cold weight of the lies he had stitched into the seams of his reality. He left the office late, his neutral-toned sneakers silent on the marble floor. His driver, Sunday, waited by the black SUV, but Obinna waved him off. He needed to drive himself tonight. He needed the solitude. As he maneuvered through the chaotic Lagos traffic, his mind drifted to his father's upcoming 65th birthday. The party was meant to be a crowning achievement, a public display of the Nwachukwu legacy. Obinna had funded everything. He had even flown in a tailor from London for his father's abode. He was the bridge. He was the wall. He was the shield. But shields eventually crack under the pressure of what they are protecting. The rain began to fall as he reached the third mainland bridge, a sudden, violent tropical downpour that blurred the world into a grey smudge. Obinna's phone rang. It was his mother. "Nam, are you coming home? The pepper soup is ready." Her voice was warm, thick with the love that Obinna felt he no longer deserved. "I'm on my way, Mama," he whispered, his voice cracking slightly. He ended the call and glanced at the passenger seat, where a thick, manila envelope sat. It contained the truth about the charity funds, the offshore accounts, and the woman in Yoba who knew his real name. He reached for it, his fingers brushing the paper, when a set of blinding high beams filled his rearview mirror. A heavy truck, its brakes screaming against the rain-slicked asphalt, swerved into his lane. Obinna didn't scream. He simply pursed his lips into that gentle, knowing smile one last time. The impact was a roar of metal and glass, a violent erasure of the golden sun. As the SUV spun toward the railings, the envelope burst open, scattering secrets into the wind. The news of Obinna's death rippled through Lagos like a sudden blackout in the middle of a festive party. By dawn, the Nwachukwu family home in Lekki was swarmed by a sea of black lace and expensive head ties. His mother, Adogo, sat on the floor of the expansive living room, her wailing a rhythmic, agonizing sound that tore through the air. To her, Obinna was the saint who had resurrected their family name from the ashes of poverty. She clutched his framed portrait, the one where he wore that 3D, perfect, Pixar-style smile, to her chest as if she could pull him back from the void through sheer maternal will. His father, Chief Nwachukwu, stood by the window, his posture rigid. The London-tailored agbada meant for his birthday now felt like a shroud. He didn't cry, he simply stared at the gates, waiting for the golden sun to drive through them one last time. But the gate stayed shut, and the secrets began to leak. While the family mourned, the vultures in tailored suits began to circle. It started with a phone call from a high-ranking bank official who showed up at the house not to offer condolences, but to discuss discrepancies. In a side study, away from the mourners, the official laid out a series of documents that smelled of ink and betrayal. "Chief, we are deeply sorry for your loss," the man began, his eyes darting to the door. But Obinna's accounts were not exactly what they seemed. The millions he donated to the university, they were laundered from a shell company registered in the name of a woman named Funk. A woman who, according to our records, has been drawing a monthly pension from your son for 7 years. The chief's hand shook as he took the papers. This was the first crack in the porcelain image of his son. The scandal didn't stop at the bank. As the sun set on the second day of mourning, a young woman arrived at the gate holding a 3-year-old boy. The boy had Obinna's oval face, his high-set brows, and even the same expressive, large dark brown eyes. The security guards tried to turn her away, but she screamed loud enough for the mourners in the garden to hear. "I am not a stranger. This is Obinna's blood," she cried, thrusting a birth certificate forward. Adogo, hearing the commotion, emerged from her grief-stricken trance. She saw the child and nearly collapsed. The child was wearing a miniature version of the same silver chain Obinna always wore. It wasn't just a child, it was a living, breathing testament to a double life. Obinna, the lawyer's son who claimed to be too busy for marriage, had a secret family in a modest flat in Yoba. The golden son was transforming before their eyes into a stranger. The manila envelope recovered from the crash site, half-charred but legible, was delivered by a concerned citizen, who turned out to be a private investigator Obinna had been paying to keep his own secrets buried. The documents inside didn't just show financial fraud, they suggested Obinna was planning to flee the country. He had a second passport, a different name, and a one-way ticket to Lisbon booked for the day after his father's birthday. The emotional weight of the betrayal was suffocating. Every "I love you, Mama" now felt like a calculated distraction. Every gift felt like hush money. The house that Obinna built wasn't a home, it was a monument to a master manipulator who died just before the mask would finally fall off.
For part 2, please subscribe to the channel.